has no.
What would you say to the survivors?
No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile in your face. You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
Okay, survivors of sexual abuse or health care.
Police say they're trying to track down a group of teenage homes who illegally rode their e-bikes onto the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Just before peak hour yesterday afternoon, around 40 riders ventured onto...
Yes.
Mr. President, today we heard that Clinton set deposition dates to testify before the House Oversight Committee. Any reaction to that related to the MC?
I think it's a shame, to be honest. I always liked him. Her? Yeah. Yeah, she's a very capable woman. She was better in debating than some of the other people, I will tell you that. She was smart woman. I hate to see it in many ways. I hate to see it, but, you know, then I look at me. They went after me like, you know, they wanted me to go to jail for the rest of my life. Then it turned out I was innocent, very innocent. And I shouldn't feel this way, but I feel badly that they have to go through that. But then I say, but they did far worse than me.
Donald Trump said today the Republicans should take over elections. The grand question is, can the president actually do that? In a new podcast earlier today, Donald Trump stated that Republicans should take over voting, at least in 15 different places, and called for elections to be nationalized. He repeated false claims to why he lost the election in 2020, and then tied elections all the way over to immigration and deportations. Trump did not name which states he would do this in, but we do know this came a few days after Donald Trump raided what is a voting warehouse inside of Georgia. But the grand question once again is, can Donald Trump nationalize voting? And the answer to that is no. U.S. elections are done under state law, not federal law. So that means the states actually regulate what machines are used, where the voting centers are, the hours that they're done. The federal government, they kind of have very limited powers here. Essentially, they just have civil rights matters, and that's about it. Now, if Trump truly wanted to do this, he would have to get Congress to vote in a new law. And even then, this thing would be challenged so much, it would go to the Supreme Court. By the time that happens, midterms are going to be long and gone. The bottom line is, the Constitution says that the states have the power right now. Donald Trump can complain about it. He can try to put pressure on the states. But if he wanted to do something about it, he's not going to get the support in Congress, nor is it going to be able to pass if they try to push it through when it comes to the Supreme Court. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. I'll be sure to keep you updated, so please share my videos.
Last night, President Trump's Justice Department said that it is not a crime to party with Epstein. You had years to come up with an excuse, and that's what you went with? If someone said that to you at a Super Bowl party, you would slowly back away and call the police. Trump was like, partying with Epstein doesn't make me a criminal. The 34 criminal convictions do. And that's it. They said that it's not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein, which is pretty much like saying it's not a crime to have brunch with Jeffrey Dahmer. You know, this chicken finger has a ring on it. Whoa! Hey, get this. Get this. Today, Trump said that he's suing Harvard for $1 billion. And just in case he doesn't get it, he's also suing Cornell as his safety school. It's not a fair fight when Harvard's lawyers went to Harvard Law and Trump's lawyers went to 1-800-LAWYER. You know?
There's a lot of news that happened here in the United States today, and here's a recap in case you missed some of it. First, Donald Trump signed a $1.2 trillion funding bill, which means that the partial government shutdown is officially over. The bill had passed a Republican-controlled House 217 by 214. Yes, it barely passed, but it passed. Now that it passed, it restores funding to many government departments such as Defense, Transportation, Labor, and Health and Human Services. But, and this is a big but, funding for DHS is still kind of on hold through halfway through February. That's when funding there either needs to be extended, something passed, or they have a shutdown of that department. And that's obviously tied to the fact that many people are not happy with immigration officers or ICE. What do Democrats want in order to get that now passed? Well, they want body cameras, no face coverings, and clear conduct standards, and of course, the big one, arrest warrants. Next, we move over to Iran, where they decided to send a drone at a U.S. aircraft carrier. Yeah, the United States had to launch an F-35 fighter jet to take it down, which they did, but Iran today really wanted to play with the United States. Earlier in the day, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard decided to, let's just say, harass a U.S. oil tanker. These two things happened literally days before the United States and Iran are set to do some kind of diplomatic talks, which looks like they're still moving forward, though Iran is definitely trying to escalate things. Next, we turn to Donald Trump, who earlier today said a lot of different things, but the one thing we have to talk about is elections. Trump suggested that Republicans should take over or nationalize elections, essentially saying that this would prevent undocumented immigrants from voting, despite there being no evidence at all that undocumented voters are a thing. Trump warned the Republicans would never win again if they do not act now, which, at the same time, we're seeing the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, conducting her own review of the 2020 election with Trump's approval. Next, we're hearing that Mitch McConnell, the senator from Kentucky, was hospitalized after what his office says was flu-like symptoms, insisting that this is an abundance of caution and that his prognosis right now is positive. Lastly, we move to Portland, where a federal judge has just ruled a temporary restraining order on ICE officers for using any kind of tear gas on peaceful protesters outside an ICE facility. The judge says in a well-functioning constitutional democratic republic, free speech, courageous news gathering, and nonviolent protest are all permitted. Yeah, there's your news recap. I'll be sure to give you more information later on tonight in my Substack newsletter. The link to that is in my bio, but please do share this video and follow me for more.
Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people
like
who feel like they have gotten
healthcare,
justice, Mr. President?
something that people care about. Yeah, what did you say? Go ahead, CNN.
What would you say to
are
the
so
survivors
bad.
who feel like they haven't gotten
You are
justice?
the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen a smile
Well,
on
I'm
your
asking
face.
you about survivors.
You know why?
of Jeffrey
You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
These are survivors of a sexual abuse of health care.
If Trump wants to avoid a blowout in the midterms, he's going to have to do something. Well, he could change his policies. He could slow down the rampant corruption. He could find less adorable kids to deport, so it's like, who cares? So, Mr. President, what's it going to be?
Donald Trump once again floated the idea of canceling the midterms.
He boasted that he had accomplished so much that when you think of it, we shouldn't even have an election.
Yikes. Yikes. Look, I do get the joy of canceling plans. No one loves bailing on drinks or a work dinner or my kid's piano recital more than me, but you can't cancel elections. Voting is the most American thing you can do besides, well, not voting. And forgive me for being serious for a moment, but the president suggesting that he might cancel the midterms appears to be the inflection point toward a dictatorship from which our nation cannot return. This is serious.
The president was simply joking.
That was a joke. Forget it. It was a joke. Phew, that is a relief. Oh, my God. I guess I was worried that it wasn't a joke because it's a little unusual for a president to joke about canceling an election. And also, this particular president actually did try to overturn an election. So I guess I don't get the joke? Can someone in the press corps please ask the White House what was funny about this?
Are you saying that the president finds the idea of canceling elections funny?
Andrew, were you in the room? No, you weren't. I was in the room. I heard the conversation.
Okay. It was a you had to be there thing, but none of us be there. If I was in the room, then I would have gotten it from his tone. It's like when Chris Rock tells a joke about black people. It works in the room, but it doesn't work later when Stephen Miller retells it at a Klan meeting. But this is why we have a press, to hold these people accountable. You can't blame the reporter for asking.
That guy's from The Independent, a British paper, and he is actually a weenie, and I hope that gets back to him. That guy is such a nerd.
People like that, I mean, that's why we hate the media. They're just nerds. Lighten up.
Yeah. What a f***ing nerd. It's okay, I've learned my lesson. The president was just joking about this election stuff, and I'm a cool guy. I get jokes. So I'm going to take all this much less seriously.
This morning, President Trump trying to exert more control over the nation's elections, saying Republicans should, quote, take over the voting.
Okay, this sounds scary, but I know now it's probably just another hilarious joke. Let's take over the elections. I'm going to cancel the midterms. I'm going to be president forever. I bet once you hear him actually say it, we'll get how funny it is.
The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
We have major news this evening. Donald Trump is weighing a massive strike on Iran that could come as soon as potentially this week. According to CNN, this strike will be bigger if he goes through with it than any of the prior strikes on the nuclear sites. This new strike that he's weighing includes possible strikes on government institutions, on nuclear sites, and also on high-level security officials who were responsible for the protesters in Iran. Remember, there have been mass protests in Iran for several weeks. Thousands of people were killed by the Iranian regime. It was horrific. And well, now Donald Trump has been saying that if you kill protesters, we're going to come after you. And we have this now, quote unquote, armada off the coast of Iran. Lots of military personnel in the region. A strike does appear near. It's a matter of how big and when, and whether or not Iran will take some type of off-ramp here. So we'll see what happens, but he is weighing a major strike this evening. Spread the word, follow for more.